Hi, it's Red Snapper, and welcome to the Showgirls Closet, where every day is a dog day afternoon. Today, we will look at a pattern and something that I've sewn. I'm very excited about this project, almost as excited as these dogs are to be here. It's amazing. When Joann Fabrics was going out of business a few months ago, I was creeping through the pattern books to see what patterns I might want to pick up. And I found the Diane, yes, Diane, Americanized Diane von Furstenberg, Very Easy Vogue patterns. Joann Fabrics didn't have any in stock, and I spoke with someone after checking a couple, and she said, we're not going to get them, so it's just better for you to go online. So I went online and I ordered this particular pattern. Now there are two Very Easy Vogue patterns that are available. I opted for this one because it has the cuffs and the collar, and you can leave those off. You could make this without cuffs, you can see this one doesn't have a collar. It is customizable. I love the 1970s look, obviously. And I love the consumer versions, the Target dress that I have. I love the look of the wrap dress. The Target Diane von Furstenberg dress from last summer. I love that. I love those things. At the same time as I was working on this dress, I did the MasterClass, her MasterClass about creating your own fashion brand. And even though I'm not creating my own fashion brand right now, it was wonderful to learn about what she thought about what she had created and her ideas about the fabric that you use. Like if it's an animal fabric, then you may move a little more animalistic or prowl a little more in the feline patterns and such. So it was an inspiring thing, the master class. And that's where I learned she was Diane von Furstenberg, even though in America, Diane is what goes. So this is a Very Easy Vogue pattern, which means there aren't more complicated things like fancy stitching, fancy linings, and it's a pretty simple dress. So there's like nothing too intense. I think that a novice sewist could work on this and find success if they read the pattern ahead of time, ask questions before they come into, run into something that's a little weird, and take their time with it. Also, choosing the right fabrics makes a huge difference. So let's look at what I made. Ta-da! Okay, so for this dress, this is fabric I got on sale at Joann Fabrics. I think they had just enough for me to get. I bought a little more than I would typically buy for a generic dress. The fabric was just too fun. I mean, balloon animals and balloon flowers. That's wacky. I love it. And following the Diane von Furstenberg method, okay, I'm a little wacky. I move a little wacky. So I think it was perfect for this. Most of the techniques that I used were home sewist techniques, not leaning into industrial sewing techniques. I didn't use my serger because I wanted to show how it would look if you're an average home sewist, would encounter when putting this together. So I made a bigger size than I might buy off the rack so that it gave me a lot of coverage. There is a little top stitching, which I believe they recommend, top stitching here on the front to help hold the facing down. Top stitching here down this front panel. But most of it, there's no top stitching. Oh, sorry. Edge of the collar. I think it suggests in the pattern that you top stitch the edge of the collar to keep it nice and tidy. But a lot of the other stuff, no top stitching. Let's look inside. This, around the sleeves, I did not serge. I did the double stitching that they recommend for the home sewist. stitching it and then stitching it a little further away. I did not serge this seam. There's like no serging inside. You can see the darts, you can see the extra fabric. You can see how I got just enough because you can see that the white edge, the selvage right there. I love how long this belt is. Now, there were some shortcuts that I started to take because I've sewn so many things. And I realized, oh, those weren't they weren't shortcuts. They were long cuts or errors. For example, this facing, you're not supposed to interface the facing. You're supposed to interface this fabric here inside of the seam allowance. Interface this so that you have a nice crisp edge on the outside. You don't need something to, you know, support it from the inside. You need this clean edge on the outside. So I had to interface that. I peeled some of the interfacing away of these facing pieces that go inside the front of the wrap and around the collar. You do interface, let me see here. Oh no, you don't interface this facing at all around the collar. So that was a learning experience for me. I thought, oh yeah, of course, you always interface this. No, you don't. Not in this dress. And it makes sense why you would do it like that in this. We also have this lovely bit here. This is where the wrapping takes place. So this is just as raw on the edges here. I didn't tidy anything up. Didn't serge this bit here. You can still see I've got some pattern markings on. The cheat that I did was I would put in a gathering stitch where it was needed, ever so slightly. So I don't remember if it tells you to gather the sleeve cap to make sure that it fits. There are other techniques that you can do if the sleeve cap is not, it's not puffy, in order to get it to fit. But I went ahead and I gathered the sleeve just a tiny bit, and you can't tell. I just needed to ease it in here. Additionally, the bodice was the tiniest bit, the absolute tiniest bit, longer than the skirt on the front, on both sides. So I gathered it ever so slightly so that I could get it to stitch in there nicely. And you can't really tell here because I pulled out those stitches since it was a gathering stitch. When I put this dress on, there are customizations that you may need to make, or you may want to make if you want it to look a bit more pro than a home sewist thing. For me, one of those things was the front, making sure that the hem was even. One of the things that is stuck in my brain from doing Christina Manouge's Patreon, learning from her, is having really nice lines. So on my body, when I put on the dress, you know, it wraps. So, and then it, you know, it crosses in the center. So if this side was hanging at the edge and this side was hanging at the edge, or if the middle had a dip, I needed to clean that up. So it looks like it's a faux wrap dress at the bottom, but it's a full wrap dress. And I had to do that in the kind of shoes that I would wear when wearing this dress. I'm going to wear low heel shoes. At this point in life, low heel shoes. I got nothing to prove. So Mr. Snapper had to crawl around on the floor and mark the hem for me so that I could fix that before I put it on. I also had this on my dress form for quite some time before I did the hem. So don't do the hem the same day that you do the dress. It needs to sit. The fabric needs to hang in the shape that it will have when it is on your body. Put it on a hanger, put it on a dress form so that the weight pulls it down. It will pull the weave and then you can clean it up. That's also another important thing. And one other little customization thing I did. This is my dress. It should be something that makes me happy. And I ordered custom balloon dog laser cut buttons from a seller on Etsy. Since these are faux French cuffs, and they're both facing, well, they'll be facing me. So when I raise my hands, I'll have the balloon dogs on both sides. I think that's super cute. All right, let's put this on. Ta-da! Here it is. Here's the dress. Mostly, check out these buttons. If I gave you a high five with these buttons, you'd know I mean business. Look at it. It's super cute. So sure, you can see my very conservative bra right now, my very conservative and casual bra just inside the top. There we go. Now you can see the crossover. But I'm just not wearing the right bra totally for this dress. But it's very comfortable because this is a thick t-shirt kind of material. It's a really nice knit. Look at the bottom. Check out that hem. Check out that hem that Mr. Snapper helped me do. Isn't that nice? Good wrap. This kind of thing, these ties, you don't want to knot the tie because then that adds a bunch of bulk here. You don't want bulk. So it's just one fold over. Not a full tie. Here's the back. Da, 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 da. Cute, fun, breezy. What kind of animal would I move like in this? A balloon dog. Awkwardly. I'd move awkwardly. What do you think, Nutmeg?
And squeaking.
Oh yeah, I need some squeaky shoes. That's definitely, I need squeaky shoes. What do you think, Nutmeg? Now, a flaw, no pockets. Sadly, no pockets. I could make pockets and do pockets in one of these, but I feel like the home sewist version, I know, the home sewist version to show you what you get when you make this pattern straight out of the, well, not out of the box, but straight out of the envelope. There are no pockets included and there's no pocket option. It is something that could be done on something like this. But it's so fun. I love how it turned out. Now, I don't usually wear this dark purple, but I still like it. I still think it's heckin' fun. Look at that. Look at how nicely this sits on the front too. It's just a very crisp, clean line for the edges of this dress because of the way this is done. Oh, and my hem and my facing, I stitched by hand. I did not put this on the machine. It's all hand stitched. Trying to do it as blind as possible so that you don't see a whole lot. Keeping it tidy, but trying to do what a home sewist would do for this dress. What do you think, Pepper? I've got wrestling dogs at my feet. So what do you think about this pattern? Do you like the DVF pattern here? I mean, there aren't a ton of pieces. You do have to read it before you make it. Pepper thinks that it's easy to bite the skirt itself. But I like how it turned out. I could see myself making other dresses with this same pattern. I cut the ends off, like the bottom of the tissue, so I'm not necessarily going to make the full-length version. I don't know that I want a dress to my feet that's a wrap dress. I'd probably go faux wrap for something like that, unless I'm using it on stage and stripping out of it. But I'd love to know your thoughts. And have you made this dress? Or the other pattern? I think the other one might be short sleeve and sleeveless. So for a sleeveless version, might have to adjust. I mean, based on the size that I made, I might have to remove some of this bulk if I use the same exact pattern. Just remove a little bit of this here in the shoulder and then create a facing for that so it would be tidy. at the edge. But I'd love to know what you think. What do you think about the balloon animal aspect of this dress? Or the buttons. These are incredible. I love the buttons. They just make me so happy. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Please be sure to like, subscribe, boop that bell for notifications. Thanks so much to my patrons. I appreciate your support so much. And you'll see me next time.